Hi, I'm Bill Lampton, the biz communication guy. Several years ago, a former touring golf professional was giving me his idea for what really makes a person a winner. And he wasn't talking about on the golf course, he was talking about in life, in business, in relationships. I've never forgotten what he said. I don't know if it was original with him. I don't care. I know it was terrific. He said, Bill, losers make promises, winners make commitments. There's a tremendous difference between a promise and a commitment. Just this last weekend, I had a marvelous example that I want to share with you. Terry Brock is a professional speaker, coach. What else can I say about Terry? He's an author. He's the winner of the Cabot Award this year, which is the National Speakers Association's highest award, given to only one person each year. I've known Terry for about 20 years. He's been both a mentor and a friend, and still is. In the middle of last week, I got an email from Terry, who lives in Orlando, Florida, saying, Bill, I'm going to be in Atlanta over the weekend, and instead of you coming to meet me this time, I'm going to drive to come meet you, and we'll have a very enjoyable lunch. That sounded great, so I said, very good. And then I noticed about Friday what the weather forecast was for the weekend. Almost stormy, tremendous rains. And when I woke up Saturday morning and knew that Terry was to arrive in Gainesville, Georgia at 11 a.m., I started thinking, Terry is driving here from Acworth, Georgia, which is north of Atlanta. He was 75 miles away, and there was a big time rainstorm that he was going to be coming through. Now, if Terry had made only a promise that he would see me, then he would probably have called and said, you know, Bill, the weather's pretty bad. It was a good idea. We'll just have to do this another time. And that would have been reasonable, and it would have been acceptable. In fact, as bad as the weather was, I had about 3 miles to drive to get to the restaurant. And I was wondering, could I make it there? So what happened? Well, Terry Brock, true to his nature, when he tells you he's going to do something, it's not a promise, it's not a maybe, it's a commitment. So I'm sitting at the restaurant. We're to meet there at 11 o'clock. I'm sitting there at 11 o'clock. Terry calls me and he says, you know, Bill, I had to pull off the road to call you because in Georgia, you can't use cell phones while you're driving. But I pulled off the road to tell you that I'm going to be running about 30 minutes late because of this weather. I said, Terry, that's perfectly understandable. When Terry arrived, we started talking about it. He said that not only was the rain very treacherous, some people hydroplaned, but there were times the rain was so severe that he had to slow down to 20 miles an hour on the interstate. I imagine the vision was very poor at that time. That's shaky and scary when you do that. But Terry had made a commitment. During our lunch, I told him about what I'd heard about the difference between a promise and a commitment. We both agreed that this is one of the top ingredients in communication that will determine whether you or I or anybody else succeeds. We see all sorts of formulas about what does it take to get to the top and stay at the top. I would say commitment is the highest level of communication, and that's what will get you to the top. Karen Chase, I'm glad to see you're on here. Roger Ravel, I'm sure you would agree with these comments as well about commitments. Let's keep this in mind as we move into 2019 in our business relationships. When we say something to the people we're supervising, our team, when we say something to those who are our prospects, prospective clients, when we say something to our clients, are we saying maybe? Are we making a promise? Or that highest level, are we making a commitment? Related to that, one other item Terry Brock and I talked about was what really is another characteristic of top level people. And I mentioned to him, having heard Larry King live many times, one time, Larry King live, his guest asked him, Larry, among the top people that you have met, and you've interviewed people all over the world, famous people, highly successful people, what were they really like off camera? And without hesitation, Larry King said, well, it's interesting. I'll tell you, the ones at the very top are great people. It's the wannabes, the ones who are not quite there, who can really be obnoxious and be real jerks. So the top ones had made a commitment to character. As you move into 2019, keep this suggestion in mind. Don't make a promise, make a commitment. And if you would like other guidelines for communicating successfully, get in touch with me, Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy. I invite you to visit my website, bizcommunicationguy.com. Give me a call, talk to me about your communication challenges, and we'll see what solutions we can come up with. In closing, I'll mention one of my favorite statements of all kind. Daniel Webster said, if I were to lose the power of communication, if I were to lose all my possessions, in fact, if I were to lose all my possessions, except one, I would save the power of communication, for by it, I would soon regain all of the rest. Thanks very much for being with me. Have a great day.